Hi, Cybersecurity 2 class. This is Professor Opterbeck. I'm coming to you on January 7th, 2021, after one of the craziest days that I can recall in our recent American history. I think the only day that I personally can recall in recent memory that was crazier was 9/11. And I'm sure you're all as concerned as I am about recent events. And at the same time, we need to carry on and begin our Cybersecurity 2 class. And of course, even as we speak, even as all these other events are going on, we're dealing with a massive breach of both the public sector and the private sector in the U.S. By Russian operatives. And in fact, in our first introductory unit, we're going to spend some time looking at what happened and talking about that. So I wanted to send this to you now because this class is on a weekend calendar, which means that the semester officially opens this Sunday on January 10th. You'll see, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the syllabus and the structure of the course. All of our units are 1 week, except for this unit 1, which I've made a 2-week unit just to give us a little bit of time to sort of ease into the class. So the semester does officially open this Sunday, but you do have 2 weeks instead of 1 to complete the first week's materials. And when you look at those materials, you'll see there's some current information, and I'll probably update it with some more information on this current really significant breach that is a major national security problem that's going on right now. So let me talk a little bit about the structure of the class. For those of you who've been in my cyber courses before, the overall structure will be familiar. This is a hybrid class. We meet virtually every week online. There will be videos, some from me giving you information, some external videos that relate to the topic for the week. There will be readings. All of the readings are things that I will give you through hyperlinks. Some of them are edited statutes and cases that I've compiled. Some of them are scholarly or other policy documents that I've compiled, and some will be very current news items because this is, as you know, a very dynamic field. Each week there will be a discussion forum. You need to post one substantive response to the prompt by Thursday of each week, except for week 1, which you have a little more time. And then you must post at least one substantive response to a colleague by the end of Saturday on each week. And you'll see that the initial post has to be about 500 words. I don't literally count words, but that's roughly a page, and the follow-up has to be about 250 words, which is roughly a half a page. If you're making an effort to post substantively and to respond, generally you'll get full credit. Usually I only take points off on those posts if you've really missed one or really it's obvious from reading it that you haven't followed the material. There will also each week be a short 10-question quiz. Could be multiple choice, true false, fill in the blank, that sort of thing. The quizzes will be available at the start of each week, and they will be available until the end of Saturday on that week. And the quizzes are not meant to be particularly tricky. They're really just trying to keep you on track, make sure you're doing the reading, make sure you're watching the videos. All of these things are hosted on the Blackboard site. Now, one of the unique things about this class is that it really combines what used to be 2 separate 1-credit modules. But I do think that they actually flow pretty nicely together because the first part of the semester is really all about the national security issues around cybersecurity, including the law of war around cybersecurity, cyber war. The second half of the class is really about compliance and getting your feet wet a little bit with some compliance-related and investigation-related skills. So many of the assignments in the second half of the class, including the discussion boards, will actually be related to the practical kind of hands-on assignments that you're going to need to do, and some of them will actually be building up to the final project that you'll need to do, and I'll talk about what that is in just a moment. So let me talk a little bit about grading and the final project. As I mentioned, the quizzes and discussion boards are there every week. Those will count 15% for quizzes and 15% for discussion boards. There's a take-home final exam, and the take-home final exam is generally going to be an issue spotter type exam, primarily based on the first half of the semester, that is the national security part of the semester, which involves a lot of case law and interpretation and so on, and that will be worth 35%, and it will be available during the exam period. The other 35% of the grade is a final skills project, and the skills project, as I said, in that second half of the class, will be learning about some ways of measuring and assessing cybersecurity compliance, and we'll be playing with a little bit some forensic tools. Now, I don't want you to get freaked out about playing with the forensic tools. They're all open source. I'm not going to be expecting you to use them with any great deal of skill. I personally don't use them with any great deal of skill, but as lawyers, we want to at least be familiar with how they work. So whether you're working in a prosecutor's office or elsewhere in the government or in private practice where you're dealing with these issues, you know kind of what your experts are doing with those tools. But the compliance project really is going to be you as a general counsel within a hypothetical organization that is facing a set of scenarios involving potential security threats, and you're putting together a presentation to the board of directors and a PowerPoint or whatever other sort of form of presentation that you want to use. So as I mentioned, this is a hybrid class. The online portions of the class are meeting every week. And then we are going to meet 3 times during the semester for long Saturday afternoons for what we call Cyber Summit meetings. And this again follows the model of the Cyber 1 class. If you look at the length of these meetings, they seem really long, and it is a very long day. But if you've experienced them before, they actually go by pretty quickly. We take some breaks. We have some guest speakers. We do some other activities. And actually, they end up being a lot of fun. So the 3 dates for the summit meetings that you need to mark off are February 20, March 20, and April 24th. And they're 1:15 to 7:15 p.m. Since this class is being offered under the HighFlex model, those of you who are taking the class in person will be in the classroom with me, and those of you who are not will be virtual. All of our guest speakers almost certainly are going to be virtual. And of course, if the guidance from the state or the school changes and we have to go totally virtual, we can pivot and do that. We in fact had to do that at the end of the last semester, and it worked out fine. Now, the one thing that's going to be different about the summit meetings in this class is the last summit meeting and probably part of the March 20th summit meeting are actually going to transition to the second half of the semester, which is the skills part of the class. So parts of those summits are going to involve you beginning to work on the final project that is going to be part of your grade and part of your work in this class. Some of that will be planning and executing a cybersecurity risk tabletop, which is a very common and important exercise that organizations do to assess their cybersecurity risk. So I hope this is a helpful overview of the class. I'm really looking forward to it. Hang in there, and I will see you online shortly, and then soon at our first summit meeting.